Hi, it's Greg and Lucky.
And this is our podcast. If you don't catch us from 5 to 9, this is what you missed.
Well, here's a sentence I never thought I'd say. I hope I hear Hall & Oates, You Make My Dreams Come True a lot tonight. Of course, this being the goal the Leafs play every single time they score. Now, is it still the right back where we started from, that they play at the end of the game when they win, and then the Hall & Oates?
I don't know. They don't really show the end of the game anymore because there's no crowd to celebrate with, or at least I haven't seen much of it. I think they just go back to Hall & Oates all the time now.
Now, Austin Matthews was born in 1997.
Right.
You Make My Dreams Come True came out in 1981, 16 years before Austin Matthews.
Right.
And I look at it. I understand it. You Make My Dreams Come True. I get the connection, all of that. But it just seems like it's all part of, and maybe it's just hockey culture, or maybe it's just the culture of Scotiabank Arena, where I guess the demo is generally older and white. But, boy, you walk in that building during a regular hockey game, and it's just, it seems so out of tune with, just from pop culture and all sorts of things. Whoever picks the music and whoever is involved in that. I mean, I get, like, your hockey pump-up songs. There's a lot of them, right? But this doesn't even fall in that category. It's just a bad, lame pop song from the 80s.
It's funny because Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, at one time, I'm not sure if he's still involved with them, had gone and hired a musical consultant.
Oh, yeah.
A radio personality known as one of, like, the aficionados of new rock.
Yeah. Just ask him. He'll tell you. Read you his resume every time you bump into him.
And yet, Hall & Oates comes out of this.
It's so strange. Because the reality is...
And AC/DC and all of the Metallica, the regular... Yeah.
Like even, what's the Eminem song? That
Lose Yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I get the lyrics don't attach themselves to a goal-scoring moment.
Yeah.
But the music itself does.
It's interesting because, when you watch the broadcast, like for Hockey Night in Canada, what they've done very well is promoted new music.
They've been very good with that,
as part of their opening intros, and a lot of it Canadian.
Yeah, they use our Kells and Glorious Sons, and I know whoever does that should get hired by Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Anyhow, that aside, Leafs Habs tonight. Hasn't happened, what did we learn the other day, since 1979?
42 years, yeah.
Wow.
1979. The 78 they met, 79 they met. Montreal swept both of those series. Leafs have not beat Montreal in a playoff game since May 2nd of 1967.
All I can hope is that this series doesn't go like so many of the others. We have double overtime, and we're having a bunch of overtimes. I can't do that. I can't hang in till midnight watching hockey. I'll be lucky if I make it through the first period.
Well, hopefully it doesn't go till midnight, because, I mean, this game will start like 7:30. It should wrap up, hopefully, around 10 o'clock.
There have been those moments in hockey where you've had like the triple overtime and it's gone way late. Like, how late would you hang in on a Tuesday night?
If I had to do this shift
in the next morning, yeah.
What round? Are we talking this opening round, opening games?
Okay, yeah, let's start here. How late would you hang in, even tonight's game, going into Friday of a long weekend, game one?
I'd go till probably 11:30 if I had to.
Yeah.
I'd say through 2 overtimes at least, if it went that far. I might fall asleep with the TV on just to see what happens. I'd definitely wake up to find out exactly what happened.
So funny with sports and overtimes, especially in hockey. You hang in, and then that goal happens. Nobody reaches for anything quicker than the remote when that final goal is in. You don't care if your team won or the opposing team won.
All right, it's over.
It's over. Let me go to bed. At what point in your life did you kind of think, hey, maybe I'm getting a little bit sophisticated. I'm maturing. I'm not just a dumb teenager, a silly kid.
Still working on it.
Well, many people were asked about some of the things that happened to them in their life that they went, oh, okay, maybe I'm maturing.
Right.
Things like having an opinion on the stock market.
Okay.
I still don't have any of that because I don't have any money to put into it. So why bother knowing about it?
I have to fake interest in it every once a year when you meet with your financial advisor.
I don't even do that. I just, I give whatever I have to our finance person, and once a month she sends me a statement to show whether we're up or down. Yeah. I don't know anything.
What indicators do I need to hear? Dollar up, down.
Yeah.
This up and down. What do I need to know? And then they went and changed the game by adding cryptocurrency to the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's like anything, right? You don't need to know all about your car. That's why you have a mechanic. You don't need to know all about your body, because that's why you have a doctor. We have people to take care of these things for us.
But it is interesting though, because we will put, this is what we set aside. Like, this is a major investment in our future, a massive investment in our retirement.
Yeah.
And we'll just kind of hand it to somebody and say, well, you know more about this than me.
It all hinges.
You do that. You're really putting a lot of faith in that person.
Well, and you've seen, too, it's happened to so many, like, big celebrities, musicians, artists, where they have some kind of money manager who just completely screws them over.
Flushes it.
Yeah, Sting talks about how he, lost almost everything he made with the police because of just bad money management. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and some of it's family, too.
It's usually some cousin who couldn't work at a gas station. You put him in charge of your money. Not that there's anything wrong with working at a gas station. Of course, it's a good job. I don't need people getting up in arms. Being able to discuss different types of wines or things like scotch. Now, I don't know that I can discuss them necessarily. I don't have a lot of knowledge, but there is a stage in your life where you can actually drink them. Like, yes. I remember, as a younger man, only beer. I mean, I never touched wine. I never drank scotch. It was all, I just didn't like the taste. I didn't like any. There was no pleasure in it whatsoever. Now I can't get enough wine in me. But, and I don't know that I can really tell the difference between a good wine or a bad wine. I mean, through COVID, I've drank nothing but boxed grocery store wine, and I love it. So
I remember one of my regrets coming out of university was that they offered, there was like sommelier nights.
Yeah.
That they would do. And you could go, and I can't remember how much it was. It wasn't much, but you go, and basically they would teach you how to tell the differences and refine your palate to wine. And I was too busy getting hammered on pints, you know.
Yeah.
The dollar drinks out of test tubes and stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, let's do those.
The sugary drinks
Give me the
out
blue
of
one.
Some stripper's belly button. I went down, I remember, to a wine estate. What did we call them there? A winery. A winery.
Yes.
And what do they call those places where they make the wine? A winery? Let's go to one of those.
Where do they put it in the box?
That's right.
Right.
How do you do that? Bag in, fold over. All right. So we went to this winery and this wine tasting thing, and you learn all about the wines. And I remember them making us do all these stupid things where you're sticking your face in the glass and gargling the wine and taking in deep breaths. And they're like, what do you smell? I smell wine.
Right.
People are smelling peat moss and grapes and the soccer shoes.
And part of this may be, for many of us, and I know for me, my first introduction to wine was my old Italian neighbor crushing it with his feet in his garage. So I look at that and think, how is this kind of refined in any way? But
I remember there was a period there where cigars were also a big deal.
Right, yes.
And a bunch of my buddies got huge into them, and they all had the cutters, and they were being very sophisticated. And I, too, got caught up in it, and I'm even, buying or reading Cigar Aficionado magazine. Oh, just thinking I'm some kind of Shooter McGavin. And I had no idea. And we would sit there and we would
spitting out tobacco.
Oh, yeah. We'd have a family meal at my mother-in-law's, and then there would be 5 of us on the porch hauling on these cigars like we're some kind of big deal, sipping cognac. And it would just end up doing in a soggy mess in my mouth because it takes so long to smoke them. And what are we doing here? I never really enjoyed it.
No, I've never caught the bug on that one either. And much like, Scotch for most of my life, just tasted like fire.
I know. Yeah. Now you love it, right? Now you're a fan.
I'm a fan. I'm not an aficionado by any chance.
No.
I'm a big fan of rye, and we'll drink that, and we'll taste differences in different ryes.
Mm-hmm.
But, the Scotch still has that kind of fiery burn for me.
I remember going to a golf tournament once, and there was a tent set up. Sometimes you go to these tournaments, and they'll have different sampling stations, and this one tent had cigars. And there was all these, beautiful women cutting the cigars for you. They'd light the cigar for you. And so I'm like, all right, let's have a cigar. Then she says, that'll be $60.
Oh, yeah.
I said, you smoke the cigar, sweetie.
Part of my job when I used to work at a golf course, we had a cigar little humidor in the pro shop. And, we were supposed to wet the sponge inside of this thing. I think every day. If we did it once every 2 weeks, I'd be sure. I had some guys coming in dropping $300 on 4 cigars for his foursome and getting basically like a fire starter.
And I'll bet they never knew the difference.
Probably never. I never had a complaint.
No, because they really don't know. We just all want to be shooters.
Why did this Cohiba burn in 30 seconds?
It's the wind.
Yeah,
the wind.
Must have been the wind.
Wearing expensive clothes, going to museums.
Right.
And being able to discuss current events. Well, if you listen to this morning show, you'll know that we can't even do that for the most part. By the age of 26, we appreciate finer things.
Okay.
And I would say I was much older. I was probably into my late 30s.
I would say 30s for me, yeah.
Before I really...
And certain things, food and ordering different things on the menu,
right.
Wines, yes. One of the things I find, too, is travel. And the want to travel more than just the all-inclusive.
Right.
Or maybe see something that's off the bar resort and away from the bar for 15 minutes.
Right, that's right. Yeah, we start thinking that some cheeses aren't weird and gross. Drinking wine seems to be around the age of 23, but we appreciate it again after the age of 24. Although, again, for me, I don't think I was probably into my 30s before I really started to enjoy wine. Now, man, oh man.
Well, I'm still lost at the LCBO because since they took away the air miles, I don't know what wine to choose. Used to base it purely on points.
I don't know if my wine consumption is at a dangerous level right now, but I was at the kiosk yesterday, and when I purchased my box of wine, they said, "Can we get you anything else?" And I said, "A straw." That's probably a problem. Now, how often have you sat down in a diner or a restaurant, you're getting breakfast, and the waitress says to you, "How do you like your eggs?"
Right.
Well, how do we like our eggs? What do you figure our favorite way of having our eggs is? What's your favorite way of having your eggs?
I flip between two. I'll go either over easy or scrambled.
Yeah, scrambled by far, number one.
Yeah.
We have this debate in our home all the time because I love scrambled eggs, Maria loves scrambled eggs, but I also love an omelet.
Okay.
She doesn't like an omelet. And I'm like, it's just another version of scrambled eggs.
Pretty much, yes. Well, yeah. She doesn't like an omelet?
Something about the texture or, yeah, she doesn't like an omelet. Yet, I'll do this trick where I'll take a tortilla shell and I'll fry it a bit in some butter, and then I'll put the eggs in there and I'll flip it and seal that up with sometimes some salsa and other things. She's fine with that. And I'm
I saw that
just another omelet.
On like a Facebook video or YouTube video at one point.
It's really good.
Like a hack to making like a breakfast burrito.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's funny because Mike texted in and he said sunny side up, but. Here's my thing with going to a restaurant. When I go to a restaurant for something, it's usually something that I can't make easily myself. Pretty tough to screw up sunny side up eggs.
But don't you go to like a diner for breakfast?
Yeah, but when I do, same thing. I mean, I can make myself a sunny side up at home.
You want to try like eggs Benedict or something?
Yeah, sometimes. I'm not a huge fan of the hollandaise for Benny, but I'll go for omelet or...
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
It's not... I prefer bacon, sausage, and an egg on the side.
What is up with you? Who doesn't like hollandaise sauce? One of the greatest things. It's eggs on eggs.
I prefer others.
Sunny side up is number 2.
Right.
Over easy is our next favorite way. Poached is interesting because poached is very British, and I like poached eggs. I do. Nice piece of rye toast with butter and a couple of poached eggs, but I didn't think it would be that popular. And soft-boiled eggs.
Okay.
Show up on the list as well.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I do love eggs. And with your scrambled, do you like to throw a bunch of stuff in? Probably not. You like them just very basic.
Just a scrambled egg. Properly scrambled. And just a little, not underdone.
No ham, no onions, no cheese.
But that's an omelet at that point, isn't it?
No, not if you scramble it.
So hang on a second. So if you make scrambled eggs for Maria, are you putting in ham and
all that stuff?
Yeah, she doesn't
tomatoes.
like an omelet.
Yeah, she's out of her mind. She's out of her mind. Be very interested to see, Lucky, what happens now that 12 plus in Durham can get vaccinated. Is that the deal?
Not Durham yet.
Oh, okay.
Peel region is going 12 plus today. The rest of the province, they're saying by the week of the 31st.
All right. Be interested to see, with so many who are concerned about the vaccine. I think many have folded and gotten it, even if they were a little on the fence about it. And there are those still who just refuse, and that's fine, whatever. But it'll be interesting to see parents and their reaction to the vaccine because, so many, all children, for the most part, get a lot of vaccines from very early on. And we seem to have been able to accept that. Be interesting moving forward to see how many parents are hesitant about having their kid. Like you're right in that wheelhouse, right? Evan's 12.
Yeah, he will be. And this will be the Pfizer vaccine that's been tested on 12 plus. And I think the numbers show, I think they tested, 2,000 kids? I think I read it was what it was. And out of the 2,000, 1,000 were given the Pfizer and 1,000 were given nothing, placebo. And 17 kids got it out of those 1,000. They got nothing. 0 kids got it out of the Pfizer group. So that's what I say. It's like 99% effective.
Where are you at with it with Evan? Do you guys?
Well, I think at some point we will.
Sure. When he's 18.
Yeah. And the only kind of dilemma I have about this, and I think the hope is for the province or for the country they're talking about, is to have everyone get their second shot by the time you get back into school, so by the fall, and that will be huge, and get everyone back into class settings and feel better about that. But there is a part of me that morally thinks, boy, I'd like to see my parents fully vaccinated before the kids start getting theirs, right? Like it's, if it's, I wouldn't want to take a second shot away from someone who really needs one desperately before I get a first shot for someone who's, your kids have been shown to be relatively healthy through this. So
if my kids were still young like that, I would have had them get their shot first, use them as a guinea pig. They're healthier, they're younger, they'll fight through it. If you survive, kid, I'll go get one. Great story of Adam Sandler. There's always something going on with this guy. There was the recent IHOP situation.
He found that hostess, by the way, and took a picture with her. I think he returned finally.
Yeah.
After she realized she kicked out Adam Sandler when she didn't recognize him in a mask.
Yeah, well, I don't know that she kicked him out. I think he just said, how long's the wait? And she said like 40 minutes or something.
She didn't realize who it was.
Yeah, and then he said, okay, we'll just move on. He didn't make a fuss. And he seems like a really decent dude, right? And I'm not surprised that he did that, which makes this story a little weird. Back in 1998, there was a guy who was working as a production assistant on Adam's movie Big Daddy.
Okay.
And Adam invited him back to his apartment for a drink after a day of shooting. I guess they were getting along and hanging out, and so Adam wanted the friendship to continue. He invited him back for a drink, but the guy declined because he was still on the clock. He was working, still had stuff to do on the set. So he didn't go, and he's regretted it ever since. He thinks it might have changed his life. He says, this was my opportunity to get into the inner circle of a comedy legend. Adam helps out people he likes and has always worked with his friends, which we see in a lot of his movies, right? So this guy has never stopped obsessing over this, and I can understand why. I mean, I'd be kicking myself, too, if that was the case.
Yeah, if you were just a production assistant, and you look at all these productions Sandler has been involved in since then, and think, boy, he could have brought me along.
Oh, for sure. That company of his, that Madison, whatever it's called, does just
Happy Madison.
Yeah, Happy Madison does tons of TV and movies. Anyhow, in 2006, so this happened in 98, in 2006, this guy started making a movie called Finding Sandler, where he documents his attempt to finally have that drink with Adam. It sounds like it would be very funny to see. I'm sure he's outside of his homes and offices and trying to get in to see him. He's doing this, of course, to try to jumpstart his film career. Well, David claims Adam's team has been ducking him for years, and Adam's manager even called him in 2007 and suggested he gave it up. Adam's reps say that, no, that never happened. And Maybe he's saying that stuff to make more of an event out of it, but it really seems like it would be something Adam Sandler would do, to finally have a drink with this guy.
Well, especially if you respect the fact that, okay, like he was working.
Yeah.
He didn't just didn't ditch you.
Yeah.
Right? And said, all right, well, we'll have a beer another time.
Yeah, it seems kind of odd. And speaking of beer, maybe somebody on the set of the Friends reunion had a couple before they sat down to do some press, because they've been talking to People Magazine and ET and all the Hollywood Insider and all these things promoting this May 27th Friends reunion. But just take a listen to Matthew Perry.
While being a really close-knit group, we don't see each other, all six of us, a lot. I stole the cookie jar that had the clock on it, and I gave it to Lisa Kudrow, because she, at one point, looked at it and thought it was a real clock.
That's not slowed down.
No.
That's not messed with. That's him in an interview with People where he's just sitting and staring off into space.
It's sad. It's sad. I've watched it now, and I think... I don't think he's drunk.
No, he's on pills or something.
I don't even know if he's on anything right now, or in that setting. It may just be the effects of all that he's gone through. As a guy who's admitted to some pretty heavy, drug use, and being addicted to painkillers from some earlier problems, and throughout this, and I mean, 17 years have passed, and I think part of the reaction to this is people thinking that they're all going to look and act exactly the same, like. He's not Chandler anymore.
No, but he was in a sitcom just a year ago. They redid The Odd Couple, and he was fine in that. So something's gone off the rails. I mean, okay, you can't you can't accuse. I guess you got to let the cards play out and see how it goes. But a guy's just not tired talking like that.
Right. I just wonder if all the years of abuse he's put on his system has just slowed him.
Maybe, but again, like I said, he was doing a show last year and he was fine.
Right.
So, yeah, there just seems to be something way off there. Anyhow, that's May 27th. Now, that could be also Game 5?
It would be Game 5, potentially, yeah. They start tonight, and I think next Thursday would be Game 4, Friday, or Game 5, and Friday in Game 6, potentially in Montreal.
Well, luckily, it's HBO Max, so it's streaming, so I can watch it at any time, because I'll tell you, if it had to be must-see TV.
Well, and listen, I mean, it's a first round Game 5, right?
Right. I'm going to Central Park. I remember when my boys were young, the youngest David, certainly more than Daniel. But, man, every dinner turned into a brawl over eating veggies or anything he didn't like. It would get to the point where I would be dreading dinner, because I'm like, here we go again.
Right.
Where he'll put on the dramatics like he's choking, and he'll just sit there and pout and sulk. And I would end up going, look, you can sit here. And I would make him, I'd clean up the dishes. I'd make him sit there in front of his plate.
Oh, really?
And I'd turn off the kitchen light and go downstairs. Daddy. Finally, I'd fold, but I'd make him sit. I wouldn't do it that badly, but I'd make him sit there for some time while I was washing the dishes until I just couldn't put up with the screaming and crying anymore.
Well, we've been through it, and they're still going through it. It's to the point now where it's almost like short order cook. Sometimes where it's like, okay, well, we got to plan this meal, but make exceptions for this and that.
See, I never would.
Yeah.
But the problem with us then is he'd be starving, and 20 minutes later, he'd have a salad bowl full of cereal and milk.
That's it. And it's like, you know what? It's either you put up with it early, or you're going to have to put it up with it later on.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you want to even have the argument and go through it? I try to force to try, right? Like you've got to expand your horizons a little bit more than, steak and potatoes. And this is me talking about that.
I wonder where they got that from.
But I try, at least you got to try things a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's funny, they do. Christian is one where he will basically try anything.
Yeah, Daniel was
right.
that way.
And, and like they normally have opposite kids. Evan's the other, where he'll he'll stick to his one thing. He still doesn't love pasta, and it never has been one of his favorites at all. Like he at one point he couldn't hack it down. Same thing. He'd be
so strange. The pasta of all things. It must be the texture he doesn't like.
And this is what I keep saying to him. Like with the pasta, I was like, listen, you're going to get this everywhere you go, man. Like
it's a staple.
when people are having kids over, usually spaghetti and meatballs is one that comes out because it's easy to do.
Or you'll marry an Italian. Right. I used to say that to David all the time. You're going to marry a vegetarian. That's going to be your downfall. And he became one. I mean, he even went vegan for a little while there.
That's crazy.
So, from a kid who wouldn't even be in the same room with broccoli to a kid, and that was all he was eating. So it does happen. They eventually come around, and it is said that the age of 22 is when any food item that your kid hated as a child, 22 is the age when they finally go, hey, I don't mind pasta.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, with my kids, the vegetables are never the issue.
Right.
Like, they love them. And it's like scary. I have to, kind of look at them and say, are you mine?
What is wrong with you?
You're choosing cauliflower?
Daddy's got
as a snack?
Daddy's got a big lasagna sitting over here.
As I'm cramming down Ruffles and Hell of a Good. And saying, no, they can't dip their broccoli in it.
Yeah, no, they must get that from their mother. And who knows, because both sides of this question, it's always been I'm sure for all parents, a debate between, say, a husband and a wife. Do you make them sit there and force them to eat it, or do you just throw in the towel and say, well, why bother? But you just think, well, I gotta get something good in them, you know. Otherwise, they're just going to eat.
Yeah, I remember being forced to eat things, or sit and wait. You're not done until you at least eat this much of this, and whatever it may be.
Push it around the plate, try to make it look like you've had some.
Oh,
there's all sorts of tricks.
Like stuff it in your mouth and we're going to go to the bathroom. Right. All of a sudden,
it's when you really wanted a dog as a kid. Feed him all the cauliflower.
Rock Mornings with Craig Venn and Lucky. 94.9 The Rock.